Hello, welcome back. It is Jack Mack, High Top Sports, Georgia, and Rocky Top. You'll always be home, sweet home to me in Georgia. Hey, oh, Rocky Top. Oh, Rocky Top, Tennessee. Man, does it feel good. Taking care of the second redheaded stepchild. I mentioned Florida a couple weeks ago as the Dogs take down the VOLS between the hedges in an all-time environment, blackout in the stands. It would have been great to match with the uniforms on the field, but Georgia looked good. Carson looked good. Bobo had some good play calls. What a great day to be a Georgia Bulldog. I mean, everything you wanted to see. You wanted to see maybe a little bit of a faster start. I know every Georgia fan felt the same as me, very nervous as that 10-0 game started off. It was getting real quick, but guess what happened? Carson Beck found a little bit of confidence, and that's what we talked about in the show last week. Talked a lot about changing the offense and running the football a lot more, but Carson Beck, he listened. He heard the noise, all jokes aside with the girlfriend stuff. He heard the noise, him and Bobo both. It was put up or shut up time. And it was 10-0 at home. It was dead silent in that stadium. And what did Carson Beck do? He had a little scramble-de-doo, 13 yards for a first down. He got up with a little first down celebration. Like, oh, Carson with the celebration. Don't see Carson with a celebration like that too often. And what proceeded to happen, he roped one to Oscar Delp to make it 10-7, and you could just feel it. Dogs were going to roll from that point forward. I know Tennessee had a touchdown with Dylan Sampson before the half to make it 17-17, but Georgia was on their way after that drive to make it 10-7. You could just feel it. Georgia with effective quarterback play is, I would say, not beatable. No one's going to beat Georgia when Carson Beck plays like a competent quarterback. I don't even think that's debatable. I mean, Georgia went and beat the number one team in the country without Carson Beck and without a competent quarterback. And now if Carson Beck, and I know that's saying a lot. I mean, Carson Beck, he's been inconsistent. Him, Bobo, one good week, one bad week, mostly bad. But we need to see him do it consistently, carry it on to UMass and Georgia Tech, finish the season out the right way. We don't need regression. It feels like, this game was a little bit different. You can carry this game, this great performance on into the, postseason playoff. But he's got to prove it to himself, got to prove it to me that he can do it 2 weeks in a row. But, that's for the pregame of the next show. Today is all about praise. I was very hard on Carson Beck, and he delivered in the biggest of ways. Using his legs. Go back to the games when he just has good numbers in general. Excuse me. But there's a few plays where he's moving around in the pocket. He's, making a play with his legs, whether it be running for a first down, whether it be running for a touchdown, whether it be just running out of the pocket, giving him an extra second or two to find his guy down the field. Whenever he's doing that and just relying more on his instincts. I mean, Carson Beck is an athlete. As you can see, there's a touchdown run he had early this year, juking out a cornerback before running in the end zone. He's an athlete. He just needs to trust his instincts a little bit more. I think that's a lot of it is him thinking too much. I'm bad about that myself. I think a lot of us can be whatever we do with work, school. You can overthink. You just, relax and, have confidence in what you've practiced and in your craft. And Carson Beck, you can see whether it was that run, scrambling for 12 yards in the second quarter, or if it was playing in front of his home crowd. Combination of both, likely the best answer there. But I think Carson Beck, whether we want to admit it or not, he may just not be a road quarterback. Look at his road games this year. None of them are good. Kentucky, Alabama, Texas, Ole Miss, they've all been abysmal. At home, a little bit of a different story. So luckily, in the playoff, as long as the rest of the season goes to plan on our end, we take care of business, we should get at the very least a home playoff game, if not a bye. So that shouldn't be an issue. We get a home playoff game, then we go play at a neutral site. Carson doesn't have to worry about a raucous student section anymore. Even the rest of the regular season is at home. So I think that's a lot of it. He just may, the moment gets to him, maybe in these big environments, Ole Miss, and hey, I mean, I can't fault him. He's not the only guy. I mean, Georgia's the only team I can really think of to have a quality win on the road this season, especially in the SEC. Everyone is holding serve at home. Georgia's the only one to go into Austin to beat Texas. So it's not throwing a ton of shade on Carson. He just doesn't perform the best in hostile territory. Luckily for us, we don't have very many. We have no hostile road games left on the schedule. Like I said, there's no chance we're going to be playing on the road anywhere if we get into the playoffs. So sitting pretty there. Bobo, when I saw that 3rd and 2 run, QB power up the A gap by Carson Beck in the second quarter, I'm like, oh, Bobo's in his bag. I saw none of that. None of that, just old school Georgia football. I know it was our quarterback, but still running downhill on a 3rd and 1, trusting your guy. I would love to hear Carson Beck say, hey, I want this. I'm saying that could have happened. He may have been like, hey, let me take this, after he already had some success running the football on his own, scrambling, with that scramble play I just mentioned. But Bobo was in his bag, had a couple great little gadget plays to Dylan Bell, even the one that Dylan Bell got hurt on, getting stopped at right inside the 1-yard line. Look, Bobo heard the noise this week as well and called an exceptional game. By far his best game as a Georgia offensive coordinator, not this year, any year. This is his best performance he's put up since he's been at Georgia as a quarterback as well. Not saying much. But Bobo, keep doing this, man. Stay away from the Penn States of the world, the run on first, run on second, throw on third, like off schedule. Big on that this week. They were great on mixing things up. Tennessee defense, especially second quarter on, did not know what we were going to hit them with next. And when this Georgia team is balanced, can run the football, pass the football without throwing the football to the other team, this team is scary. I'm telling you, no one's going to want to face them. They're the most dangerous offense, in my opinion, period. I mean, Carson Beck, if he is able to, okay, maybe not the most scary offense, period, Ohio State. There's a couple of good offenses, but being balanced, being able to play complementary football, Georgia might be the best at that. With a good passing attack, getting some of our guys in sync, throwing it to multiple guys, not having just one X receiver that we throw to every 2 plays. We got a lot of guys. Dylan Bell, we got the lad McConkey fill in with I'm blanking on his name. But anyway, we got a multitude of options out wide. So we've got multiple options out wide. We lead the country in drops. So, I mean, Arian Smith has just not delivered on really his tenure at Georgia. All we've heard is hype surrounding the guy. Dropping that first play of the game, just not a great performance by him in general. You can see the tempers getting and his emotions getting to him in the second half there, a couple penalties on him. But my point with that is we don't have a guy. Dylan Bell, I thought he could be it. Dominic Lovett, but we don't. I mean, we lead the country in drops, as I just said. So somebody's got to step up. Carson, as he did last night, spread it to everybody. Give everyone an opportunity. Oscar Delp was the guy last night or Saturday night, and I expect that to kind of be the formula going forward. Someone new every week going to have to step up. We don't have Brock Powers and Lad McConkey just to have them to force feed the ball to. So I think it's going to be maybe that story for the rest of the season as we get into postseason play is someone different every week. Oscar Delp this week, who knows? Maybe Dylan Bell. We need Dylan Bell to come back healthy. Maybe it's him next week. I don't know why this keeps coming in my head. It just makes me think of the Hawks back when they were good. The Atlanta Hawks, when they had Jeff Teague, Paul Millsap. They didn't have a guy, but that was probably the best Hawks season since I've been alive. They were the #1 overall seed. They played team basketball. That's what this offense is going to have to turn into. New guys step up every week. Carson Beck not force feeding anybody and just running the offense, going through his reads, his progressions. And that's, I think, what he was doing earlier in the season up until just last week is he's focused in on one read. So going through the progression, and I think Bobo did a great job of setting him up for success in this game. He did get him on the run a couple times, get him some easy passes to some tight ends just across the line of scrimmage. So just love the game plan altogether. And like I said, I think it is going to have to be every game a different hero, so to speak, when it comes to people catching the football. Hopefully get ETN healthy here soon. Got a couple weeks, I think, where we can let him, guys like Dylan Bell, rest a little bit until we get in, hopefully, SEC championship game. But if anything else, just playoff games. We need them for that. So get some guys rested up over the last couple of weeks, see what happens elsewhere around the country. But, on that point with postseason play, right? I think it's best for Georgia not to be in this game. I mean, I don't know. I don't trust the committee to make a decision on, let's say Georgia goes and loses. And they have 3 losses. I just don't trust them to put Georgia in. I mean, there's so many teams with 2 losses. Look, I'm a competitor. I'm sure if you ask Kirby, he'd want to play in the SEC championship. But I'm okay with Alabama winning out, and they play Texas for the SEC championship. We get our guys 1 extra week of rest. We get ready for a home playoff game, just like we saw a couple nights ago, under the lights, between the hedges. What an atmosphere. So I'll take that gladly, without shame. So I think the scenario currently is Alabama. If them and Texas win out, they play each other. If Texas loses, it's Texas A&M Bama. If Bama loses 1, then Georgia's in, and they play the winner of Texas A&M. So it was pretty complicated. I thought it was more complicated than it was, but it's essentially Texas and Bama. If they lose, Georgia's in. But I mean, Oklahoma could be a test for Bama this week, but I expect those 2 teams to handle business. If not, I think Texas A&M could win at home. Like I mentioned earlier in the show, not many teams are being able to win on the road outside of Georgia this season. So Texas A&M gets that game at home in College Station. So Texas has not impressed me. Quinn Ewers has kind of turned a corner over the last couple of weeks, but that game is up for grabs. I expect that line to be 2-3 points Texas's way. Clean things up with this Tennessee game. Interior defensive line, that's the best game I've seen out of them in 2 years. Warren Brinson with the game of his life. He was causing chaos the entire afternoon, entire evening, I should say. We slowed Samson down enough and made it a Nico game. Nico impressed me. He played great in that first half. I know his numbers weren't great, but he stood in the pocket. It didn't look like the environment rattled him at all. I mean, he was more ready to play than Carson Beck was. He was the best quarterback, in that first quarter. So Nico impressed me. He showed me more than I thought he had. A lot of poise, tough, took a lot of hits. Nico took a lot of hits. I'm sure Heupel's going to look at this film and be like, hey, we got to protect this guy a little bit more. But he's tough, gritty guy, handle to the environments. That's what you want out of your SEC quarterback. So props to him. It's going to be tough to beat him next season. I already know that. But like I said, Georgia still got our 2 little redheaded stepbrothers, and we spank them once a year. And we'll see him in Vol Nation next year with those hillbillies up there. I'll probably be there to see them. I like going and messing with those fine ladies and gents every couple of years. But anyway, me and JT are going to be talking about that game, recapping it probably Tuesday or Wednesday this week. Last thoughts from the game is what an atmosphere. A couple years ago, I remember listening to shows like Unnecessary Roughness. They say Georgia just doesn't have a great home field advantage. Nothing like Texas A&M, LSU, Florida. If anyone watched that game, that place was wild. That place was a premier college atmosphere. The fireworks, the lights. It's great. The only thing I would ask that we improve, and I know it's a tough ask, and I worked there, and I was working for these people, the donors, the rich class that Georgia is trying to um, entertain and get to spend money to the NIL collective. But the music, that's the only thing I could ask is let's get a little newer with the music. I'm playing the same old stuff, the 70s music for forever now. So other than that, though, Athens is finally receiving its praise as a top tier environment, tough place to play. I mean, Georgia hasn't lost in that building in, I think it was South Carolina, the last team that's beat us, Beamer, his first year, I think. But it's been a while, so good to see us get some respect there. Again, black jerseys would have been great. Would have been great. But I get it. Whenever we do bring them back, it's going to be an unbelievable event, spectacle. But go Dogs. Rocky Top, you'll always be home to us Dogs once a year. Spank you. Send you off your way to go beat Vanderbilt. So good luck, Tennessee, rest of the way on that. Georgia, don't need to be in the SC championship. All good going to the playoff, get another home game, another raucous environment. Dogs on top. Dogs going to win the Natty. Like I said, after that Alabama loss, no worries. Carson Beck, let's string a couple together, though. Nice game. I need to see it 2 weeks in a row. So that'll do it. That's Jack Mack, High Top Sports. See y'all in a couple days.